Good afternoon and welcome to our winter musical. Today's program is presented by the 4th and 5th graders of Burnside School. Our show today is under the direction of Ms. Carolyn Hardy, Ms. Karen Reitenauer, and the 4th and 5th grade teachers. Our show today is called The Electric Sunshine Man.
Nothing was impossible. It was just that nobody figured out how to do it yet. So I spent the rest of my life doing things that I've never done before.
When you were 7 and moved here to Michigan from Ohio, you figured out that birds could fly because they ate worms. And if people ate worms, then they could fly too. But you also figured out that eating worms wasn't such a super idea. So, since I was younger than you told me if I ate them, I could fly.
Ugh. I was wrong, you got sick. I got a whipping, nobody flew. It wasn't the last time I was wrong. It still didn't keep me from doing the impossible.
I've been a teacher in this school for 20 years, but not once have I seen the like of that Edison boy. He's driving me crazy with all his impossible questions. When I tell him I don't know, he wants to know why I don't know. It's just a waste of time to keep him in school. I'm going to recommend that they keep him home and let his mother try to cope with him.
several years I taught him at home. That's enough for the day, Tom. Take your questions and experiments down to the basement. You can work on the impossible down there.
I lived next room to Tommy for a long time, and me and him built some neat stuff in that basement. We used to kind of borrow things from the neighbors. Once we made a telegraph. We used stovepipe and wires and strung it on the trees between our houses, and rags and bottles for installation and brass for rings. And it worked too. We sent Morse code just like the real operations.
Somewhere about that time I got my first job. I was a candy butcher.
Yep. Tom had to work on my training selling candy and newspapers on the Detroit run. I think he was about 12. When he wasn't selling, he was reading. But reading wasn't enough. He had to prove everything he read. So I let myself lab in one of the boxcars. Then, one of his experiments set the car on fire. I guess I should have fired him. But instead, I moved him to another job. I suspect between his experiments and practical jokes, he moved a lot.
Selling his way to the Mexican
first visit to the patent office.
Thomas Alva Edison, electronic vote recorder, number 90-645, patent granted. Do come again.
It was a lot faster in those days. I was proud of myself. I turned the machine right over the canvas. I thought my fortune was made, but the darn thing didn't work.
As a virgin conference, son, I can tell you what your problem is. Your machine works, it just works too good. It counts rows faster than the office stand to fill a filibuster. Of course, the council buy it.
I decided right then if there was no market for invention, it didn't work. So much for Boston, I decided to move to New York. I got a job there looking for golden stock telegraph reading. I had several impractical inventions, but finally had a winner and went back to the patent office.
Thomas A. Edison, Edison Universal Printer. Nice to see you again, Mr. Edison.
As Vice President and the Golden Stop Telegraph Company, I can tell you that we are very impressed. Yes, sir, this approved stock ticket is a real breakthrough. We're prepared to offer you $40,000 for it, if that's satisfactory.
Satisfaction? Little did she know I was hoping for fire and glad I accepted Jake. I spent my expected fortune setting up a workshop across the Hudson in New York, New Jersey. I hired John, Will, Batch, Charlie, and some other top-notch mechanics. I became a businessman. Well, actually, I had a bookkeeper to keep up with the business. I went back to my inventions, which of course brought me back to the patent office.
Thomas Edison Quattro Test. Improved telegraph instrument for sending four messages simultaneously. You're getting to be a familiar face, Tom.
I only enjoyed that invention. See, I got fired once for interrupting the supervisor while he was sending a message down the telegraph line. My telegraph, four people can send messages simultaneously without interrupting each other. Well, anyway, we took the money from the quadruplex and moved to Menlo Park. There I set up the world's first research lab. Now that was my greatest invention. I invented invention factory.
We can do it, yes indeed. wasn't as adequate. You'll have to make some improvements. So when we were working with the boss on the improvements, he discovered a scientific phenomenon that people started calling the Edison effect. He got so carried away with this that he got a guy named Bill beat him to the patent on the telephone. And the Edison effect didn't amount to anything until he took it and developed the radio. But we did come up with one good thing of that telephone research. Yeah, while the boss was working on the carbon microphone, he had a wild notion. He said he was going to build a machine that would talk.
I've seen it do the impossible before, boss, but I'll bet you a box of cigars this won't work.
You build a machine like that told you, we'll say.
So I did. Strange contraption with a cylinder, a needle, a tube, and a crank. When the machine was all finished, the boss turned the crank and shouted into Mary Had a Little Lamb. Then he put the needle back on the cylinder head and turned the crank again. The machine said Mary had a little lamb. It almost scared us all to death.
Here, John, have a cigar and pass it around. See, I told you nothing was impossible.
No matter the world tell you it can be done, 'cause it can be
Just between us, I thought I'd hear a word or two of that machine, but when it worked, I was surprised as anyone. See, I never trusted things that worked right the first time.
You sure must trust our next invention, because it didn't work right the first time, or the second, or the third, or the...
We did work on that thing a long time, didn't we? In the beginning, it seemed simple enough.
Simple? Yeah, the boss thought there was electricity, but on the wrong track with the arc was. So you're just going to improve a little.
The truth is, someone told the boss it was impossible to subdivide electric current. So, of course, he had to prove.
Nobody knew how to do it yet. Right. Remember we started out looking for a filament? We couldn't find anything that would glow with that burning flashes. We tried hundreds of things. We then figured out the filament could burn better in the vacuum, so we put them in a bulb and pumped the air out. Yeah, that was wonderful. Then we had to go back and test all those things over again. As your banker, Mr. Edison, I must tell you that these electric lab experiments are taking too long and having no results. Our patience and our money are coming to an end.
I figured she was right. We didn't seem to be making any progress, but I figured if we kept to worrying about her, we would make any progress. Charlie, let's try to make black carbon.
You already did. It burned too fast.
Yeah, that was because of the oxygen air. There's no oxygen in the vacuum. Let's try again. Here, back. Carbonize the cotton thread.
It took us hours to get that carbon thread into the bulb without breaking it, but we did it. And then we pumped out the air and turned on the electric current.
It's glowing.